Everyone, we are going to start with the introductory lecture of Advanced Performance Management for September 2025. My name is Zaira Anis and I will be your facilitator for this semester. So let's skip with this introductory part because generally whenever we are in the live session, generally I ask it to students to introduce themselves because the problem is that there are two types of students which you see. The first type of students are those who are extremely confident about their calculations, but they are not good in theory. The second type of students are those who are extremely good in theoretical analysis part, but whenever you give them a number crunching question, they just feel left out. So, this is actually a paper which is more towards analytical part. Like if you are coming from an F5 background, of course, then students expect that in APM paper there will be calculations, and along with that calculations there will be theory. But uh, the issue is in APM paper approximately 90% is theory analysis, and you can say even 10% is an exaggeration, but let's suppose say on a safe side there will be 10% which will be calculation. So you will hardly find calculations in APM paper. And in case of calculations, it's like, for example, you have to calculate total quality management related cost, or maybe you have to do some percentages things, or maybe there are one or two topics where you have to calculate little bit things. So so that means what that means, if you are good at in analytics, if you are good in analysis part, not analytics, analysis part, in that case this paper is definitely for you, right? So that's basically the introduction part. Now there are three questions which are generally in a student's mind. The first thing is that what is advanced performance management and how this is different from performance management, which we discussed earlier, right? See, advanced performance management, I generally describe advanced performance management as like there are three papers in your ACCA exam, right? The first paper which you guys did it as is FMA, or which generally called F2, right? That is mostly that is a number crunching paper. Like for example, examiner will tell in ACCA is telling you how to calculate material cost, labor cost, overhead cost, maybe budgeting, maybe variances, all these number crunching things, and just to introduce all these concepts to you. So it's more like an operational thing, operational level things, like you should know everything. In F5 it's like you got a promotion and now you are at managerial level, so you have to take a different type of decision that okay fine, if this sort of variance report is coming, what do we mean by that, how we are going to interpret that, or if some sort of performance measurement is coming like ratio analysis or feedback, or there are a lot of ratios which are coming and I got a report of ratios, how I'm going to analyze it. And then now there is a strategic level where we are saying that okay fine, we are at the top of of this hierarchy. So that means we are the ones who are taking the decisions, we are the ones who are in the position to finalize things, right? So what sort of factors we need to consider at this stage, that's basically what the APM is, right? So most of the time examiner will give you the responsibility like a consultant, like a consultant, in the sense that you have to analyze the situation and let the CEO know what they are supposed to do, or you have to tell the CEO what are the benefits or how to evaluate this. So your reporting line is generally to the CEO. So that's basically, you have to keep in mind that whatever you are writing in your paper should match with something which is at the strategic level. It should not include things for extremely technical, extremely operational level things. You should completely avoid. So that's basically what the APM is, right? And how this is different from F5 paper. See, as I told you, in F5 paper you are like a middle management. So if, like for example, if someone is attempting F5 paper, in F5 generally the requirements like calculate cost per unit. Let's take an example of activity based costing, right? In activity-based costing, if you are doing F5 paper, this sort of requirement will come into your paper. Like you have to calculate the production cost per unit under absorption costing and then cost per unit under activity-based costing, and that is for 11 marks. So you have to calculate all these things, right? In APM paper, you are not supposed to calculate anything. You are supposed to advise the CEO how activity-based management could be used to improve the performance. Advisory, right? Or you have to assess whether it may be appropriate for the company to use activity-based costing. So you have to, examiner will give you a scenario, right? There will be a lot of factors, some internal, some external, some problems, some weaknesses, some strength, and on the basis of that you need to analyze what is the best part for the company, what is good for the company, and in case there are certain drawbacks, let's suppose if company switches to ABC and you think that there is something company needs to consider, you have to write it at the end. You have to write the positive things and the negative. You have to come with pros and cons both, right? Similarly, if you see the transfer pricing, this is another example from transfer pricing. This is something which I have got from performance management, where you are required to prepare a profit and loss statement showing the profit for each division for both company and as a whole. So you have to prepare a profit and loss statement, right? And then again you have to calculate the maximum profit at which profits can be maximum transfer price where profit can be maximized. So you have to go to the calculation part. Now this is basically recent APM paper requirement where examiner is asking you advise the company on the criteria for designing the formal transfer pricing policy for its two division in SLAN. So this is not the calculation, this is again an advisory side. Or you have to explain the advantages of using market-based transfer pricing, right? And you have to advise on the factors that should be considered for international transfer pricing. So the topics are same, exactly topics are same, but the way of asking the question is extremely different in APM paper. So if some students is coming from the mindset that since he did transfer pricing in F5 paper, he can easily do transfer pricing in APM as well, that's basically sort of misunderstanding, because in APM paper you are not supposed to calculate a lot of things. You have to analyze, and when I'm saying analyze, advise, you have to give the with reasons. You have to tell the company that why you think that this thing is a better option for the company, right? And in case you think that this is not a good option for company, why you think that this is not a good option for company, right? So that's the prime difference between F5 and P5 or PM and APM paper, right? And then there is a third question, that how it is different from the other papers. So maybe you can come across with some topics which are also the part of your other papers, like SWOT analysis, like pest analysis, like Porter 5 forces model. So these are some topics which students already know, they have studied in their previous papers. But the way of asking question in the way of asking question in APM is completely different. Like examiner will not ask you to perform SWOT analysis. In SWOT analysis, examiner will ask you to identify some relevant KPIs for to measure strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So you need to analyze the scenario, you need to analyze the weakness, and then you have to tell the company that what company should do and what should be the relevant KPIs for the company. So that's basically how you are supposed to, how it is different. So again, if you are coming from the mindset that okay fine, since we did SWOT analysis and perform in some other papers and we can do it very easily in APM paper, you may be again misunderstanding this part. So you have to understand this fact that even if the topics are same, the way of asking question in APM is extremely different compared with the other papers. And that's something which examiner is actually complaining also, because examiner is actually complaining that the students are attempting answers in exactly the same manners as they did before, but the requirement is completely different in APM paper. So you have to be very careful in this part. All right. Then again, so these are three questions which generally student ask, that what is APM paper, how it is different from F5, how it is different from the other papers. Achha, by the way, those students who are taking APM paper, because you have studied F5 some maybe 2 years back or maybe 3 years back, and the students are unable to recall these concepts, what I did is, if you see the learning management system or whatever source you have, you will see I have provided the initial lectures of F5 as well, to just for recap purposes. So in case someone forget anything, he or she may go and do a quick recap from those from those lectures, right? So examination pattern is again quite simple, same as the other papers. 50 marks will be comprised of 40 technical marks and 10 professional marks, and then there will be 20 technical marks and 5 professional marks for section B. Okay. So this part is same, but I was just wondering, okay, fine, let's discuss it later. Okay, so what is the syllabus of APM? Syllabus of APM is quite simple. Activity-based management. It generally, examiner generally asks between 8 to 12 marks. Generally 8 to 12 marks if it's asking from, if it is examined in the first section, and of course if examiner is keeping it for the section B, complete full-fledged question can be asked. Target costing, again generally it's from 8 to 12 marks, 13 marks maximum generally is asked from target costing. Risk and uncertainty is something which is quite frequent in recent attempts, and a complete full question you can experience a full-fledged question of risk and uncertainty, or maybe if it's asking in section A, probably it's of 15 to 20 marks. Combined probability, this is the first topic which I generally ask the students, that if they want to skip something, they can skip combined probability, because this has just been asked once in the whole APM paper, so you can skip this. Performance measurement, this is an extremely important point of APM paper, and without performance measurement or management, you cannot pass APM paper, because generally it comes in first question, that is for 50 marks, right? So this is one of the most important topics of APM paper, and probably we will keep 3 live classes for section A, at least 3 live classes for section A, just to give you an idea that how you guys are going to attempt section A. All right. And then quality related topics are there. Responsibility center, we already heard about responsibility center, cost center, revenue center, investment center, profit center, but again the way of asking question in responsibility center will be definitely different. Economic value added, this is a new term. This is commonly known as EVA. This is completely a new term for you all. So this is a new topic and it has some calculation. Transfer pricing, as I said, this is a similar topic as of performance management, but the way of asking question is different. Plus advanced transfer pricing in this case is along with taxation. So if the company is having an international background, like multinational company is there, in that case definitely you have to deal with taxation related issues also. Performance measurement in not-for-profit making organization, this is something which is quite frequent these days. Examiner is examining these topics frequently these days. I mean, you can see after every 2 to 3 attempts you can see one question, maybe section A, section B, from not-for-profit making organizations. In F5 the frequency is low, in P5 the frequency is quite high. Toyota production system, IT questions are generally common, and generally it's not full-fledged question, but generally it's of 8 to 12 marks in section A or 8 to 12 mark in section B, right? I mean, generally it's of that. I mean, the weightage is approximately 8 to 10 to maximum 15 marks. Business process reengineering, that is something which is including. Pricing is again the second topic which if someone wants to skip, he or she may skip. Budgeting is extremely important. Budgeting is not of what we have already seen in previous chapters, a calculation sort of thing. No, you have to analyze the situation, and again you have to, I mean, we know that there are zero based budgeting, we know that there are rolling budgets, incremental budgeting, activity based budgeting, beyond budgeting. So what you have to do in this case is examiner will give a scenario to you and examiner will say that, hey, look, we our CEO has heard about these three terms and he is confused which one company can use. So can you please advise the company which one company should use? So you have to evaluate all these three options, like why maybe incremental budgeting is can be beneficial for the company, or rolling budgets can be beneficial for the company, or why the company should not use zero based budgeting. So that sort of things is required. But again, in this case, if you're writing advantages and disadvantages, you have to connect it with the scenario. If you're not connecting with the scenario, if you're just writing the bookish answer of advantages and disadvantages of zero based budgeting, you are not going to earn marks. You have to connect it with the scenario. Okay, then environmental management accounting, we know EMA, human resource management, value based management, performance prism, and integrated reporting that has been recently added. Now, what are the common issues in students' paper? What sort of problem students generally face in their exam? See, the first thing which they struggle is they are unable to understand question requirement, and let me tell you why. See, this is basically the requirement of APM paper, right? What the requirement is saying, respond to the CEO of Troll company request for work on the following areas: cost benefit analysis. What is required? It's not given in the question. It's not given in the requirement. You have to go back to the question to see what is the CEO request with respect to cost benefit analysis. With CEO request of culture and accounting system, what request? You have to go back to the question and see what is the requirement. So in the requirement section, you will not see anything which is actually required from you. In requirement section, nothing is there. Same like this question, you have to write a report to the CEO of Sharon to respond to her instructions in the performance measurement reporting, what get measure get done in brand survey. That's it. What you want me to do? For that you have to go back to the question and see what is the requirement. So this is basically something why students are struggling in understanding the requirement, because when they go back to the question and between the lines some requirements are given to the question to the students sometimes miss the requirement. So that's basically the problem. Time management issue is extremely common in APM paper, because there are two reasons for this, to be very honest. The first reason is that students know the answer. Students know what they have to write. So what they do, they just start writing. And then they don't care about what they are writing and how much they are writing. So it's a sort of honey trap. Like, it's a very easy requirement, about the topic, so you wrote it too much. Like for the question which should be completed in 40 minutes, you completed in 1 hour because you wrote everything, something which is not required. So for that, I believe that marking scheme is extremely important. You have to check the marking scheme before starting the question. And the second reason is that the students doesn't know what is the requirement, what they have to write. So what they do is they start thinking and they waste time in thinking, right? So both, you have to control your nerves whenever you see the question. You don't get excited whenever you see something which you know. Don't get depressed if you see something which you don't know, right? Just go to the question, see the requirement, read the question again and again, and you will get definitely something. But do it when you are done with everything, right? First do what you know in the paper. You don't know how to get professional marks. Students don't consider marking scheme, so that they don't have any idea how much points they are supposed to write. Because see, generally if a requirement is of 10 marks, so ideally you have to write 5 points in it. 5 points in the sense that 1 point is generally for the identification and 1 mark is generally for the justification. This is basic rule of thumb, but obviously this can vary. Okay, in case of unsuccessful attempt, they don't know where actually they went wrong in the paper, and this happened too much. If you ask any student who has done his financial management paper, who flunked in advanced financial management, and if you ask him why you flunked, why you failed, he will tell you the reason that I wasn't able to do question number 1, question number 2, question number 3, whatever the problem is. But if you ask someone from APM student that why you flunked, to be very honest, he doesn't have any idea why he flunked, because he thought that whatever he wrote is perfectly fine, but actually that is not. So that's basically a problem. And how you can improve all these issues, the first and the most important thing is you have to cover the whole syllabus, and at least you have to read a book. You should read something. See, there are two types of a student. One student is actually working somewhere. If you're working somewhere, generally students get ideas from their working life, from their working experience. Generally they do have a knowledge, right? So situation is better in that case. But if you are 100% working, if you're 100% student, if you're not working anywhere, then book reading is a must. And even if you are working somewhere and you think that you are struggling in APM paper, you should read the book. I'm not saying read Kaplan, read BPP, read Kaplan, read any other paper, read any book which has those topics. That's the most important thing, because activity based costing is same in all books. Beyond budgeting is same in all books, right? Transfer pricing is same in all books. So whatever book you are reading, Colin Drury, BPP, Kaplan, ACCA material, whatever you are reading, at least read. This is most important thing. The second thing is that you have to read the requirement very carefully, and you have to address all the issues which are required in the paper. You have to apply all the knowledge in the business scenario. Now this is something which is quite shocking, because what is happening is that students are writing the general answers. Students are not connecting it with a scenario. Like for example, if I am asking you that, hey look, there is a company and the company wants to apply activity based costing. So can you please tell me what are the benefits of using activity based costing? And the students will write all those benefits, the bookish answer. Examiner will not give you a single mark even your answer is correct, because you have not connected it with the scenario. You have to connect it with a scenario that, hey look, since the company is manufacturing multiple products, this is something where distribution of overheads is a problem, and activity based costing can help you in that. Since overheads are the major portion of the total cost, this proper distribution of overhead will give you a better idea about the product cost, about products profit margins, right? So you have to connect it with the scenario and tell the CEO that, hey look, your company is doing this, that's why ABC is a better option. Or your company is doing this, that's why ABC is not a better option. You should continue with absorption costing, because you are just manufacturing a single product and you are not innovating anything. You are manufacturing a product since 5 or 6 years, the same product. Why you want to go to ABC? It is just going to increase your overheads, cost, time, and nothing else, and will not benefit your company. You have to tell the reason, right? So that's basically what do you mean by the application, right? And justification is something which I don't know how many times I will repeat in my lectures, live sessions, webinars. You have to justify whatever you are writing. If you are saying that company is not the key performance indicator, KPI, the KPI which company is using is not correct, you have to tell the reason why you think that this is inappropriate. And if you are saying, let's suppose if I'm saying that the company is using sales growth for to analyze the company competitiveness, and so and you are saying that, hey, look, sales growth is not a good performance. Why? Because it will not tell you how company is growing with respect to the industry. If your sales are 10% up, and your industry sales are 20% up, do you think it's a good performance? No. So if I'm just giving you this picture, it is not making sense. So in that case, I will say, hey, look, market share will give you a better idea, because market share will tell you what is the growth of company with respect to the industry, right? So you have to tell the company that why you think that this is not good, why you think that this is good. Even if you agree with whatever company is doing, if let's suppose the company is using rolling budgets, and you think that it's perfectly fine for the company to use rolling budgets, and if you are writing that rolling budgets are appropriate for company, that's it, your answer is correct, but you will not get marks. Why? Because you have not told company why rolling budget is a good option, is appropriate, right? So these are few reasons. And students don't justify. I will show you some papers from students which I have checked and I've given feedback. And those papers are, mostly have all these mistakes. You have to practice as many questions as you can. At least you have to practice last 5 attempts paper, because the more you practice, and when I'm saying practice doesn't mean that you are just reading the answer, writing the bullet points, and saying, hey, I am done with the paper. No, you are not done with the paper. You have to write the answer within specific time in examination condition. Like if you are doing question number 1, you have to make sure that you will complete question number 1 in 1 hour and 30 minutes, maximum 1 hour and 40 minutes. If you are doing question number 2, you have to make sure that you will complete question number 2 in 40 minutes and not more than that. So that's something which is extremely important. And after doing this, you have to read examiner comments on that. Okay, what examiner comments are, because generally examiner tells students that what were the common mistakes in this question. See what you did in your answer script, and you can share it with me. Of course, I can give you my feedback. So what you will be looking at, what you are expecting if you take the admission. Recorded lectures will be given to all of you, right? I'm introducing this, not introducing this, I mean, I'm also incorporating discussion of all APM ACCA articles. That will be the part of your study plan. We will have approximately 4 live sessions during this 3 months period. One session will be for section B, and 3 sessions will be for section A. WhatsApp support. If you have any query, any issue, just WhatsApp me. I will definitely respond. Maybe then and there, maybe in a day or two, but definitely I will respond. This is something which I think is extremely important for APM students, because when you write the paper, when you write the answer, you think that you have written it correctly, but someone else can tell you whether the answer is correct or not. So at least send me 3 to 4 answer scripts so that I can give you my feedback and try to do as soon as possible. And mock paper and debriefing session, this is something which you can expect from me. These are the duration of ACCA APM paper. So 8 hours for section A, 30 hours for performance measurement, 23 hours for other topics, approximately 17 hours for budgeting, live session approximately 16 hours. That is, last whatever live sessions I've conducted in the last 2 to 3 sessions, 2 to 3 attempts, I have already included in LMS. So approximately it's 93 hours session, right? And this is basically the overall. I think I forgot to Just a second. Okay, so this is basically the overall timetable. So on 22nd of June, classes will be on Sunday. So in case you are working, you can have time. So 22nd June, we will have first session, and timings will be. I will announce the timings, but that will be in the later phase. So generally it's 7, or I can write it 19 GMT plus 5. So generally its timings are like this. So I will send you a calendar invite so that it will be converted into your local time. Second session will be on 6th July, then 20th July, then 3rd August, and then we will have 1 day recap webinar, and in which I will just recap the major topics, and then we will have a mock paper and then feedback session. So that's basically what you guys can expect from APM paper, right? So thank you, and hope to see you on 22nd of July, 22nd of June, inshallah. ठीक है, take care, bye bye.